We're just going to start with a quick round of introductions. So,
Welcome to Running for Higher Office. So let us start on time then. Welcome again, like Audrey said, and hello, I'm Juliet Yu. I'm serving as your current district governor.
I'm Tiffany Wong, and I'm your current district secretary.
and Brian's mic isn't working right now, but that's Brian Lee, your district treasurer. And again, my name's Audrey Chow, and I'm your district editor. So tonight we'll be looking at our individual roles on the district executive board and the duties that they entail. We'll also be looking at the international board and the process for running for higher office at district convention. Please stay until the end as there will be an opportunity for you to ask questions.
Yes, and this is just the webinar agenda, which we'll all go through. So, District Executive Board, what do we do? The District Executive Board strives to strengthen and build Key Club in the Pacific Northwest. We lead, train, and publish monthly newsletters to the District Board. Each season, we have an executive committee meeting where we develop and review community directives and discuss any official business. At these meetings, we also plan district board meetings, which typically occur a month afterwards. So for the following segment, we'll highlight the duties, expectations, and roles and responsibilities as leaders of the District Executive Board, along with information about how we work in relation to one another and the board. Duties that are shared between the board include attending all board meetings once again and executive board meetings. Along with this, in order to run for any position, you must be a dues-paying Key Club member. Strive at all times to strengthen and build membership in the district and maintain the quality of school work and keep up to date. So once again, I'm Juliet Yu, and I'm serving as your district governor. So without further ado, I'll introduce you to the role of the governor. So the district governor shall serve as the chief executive officer for the district, as well as preside over all board meetings and Key Club conventions. For example, district convention, Kiwanis district convention, where you host Kiwanis family relations and Key Club 101 workshop. You represent the Pacific Northwest District at ICON, the International Convention. You speak at rallies and present workshops such as training and supporting the club presidents and vice presidents at these rallies, and just more events such as those. And in addition to that, you must host bi-weekly phone calls with the executive board and weekly phone calls with the district administrator. So with this, as district governor, you'll be working closely with the district administrator as well as the assistant district administrator. And you will be required to stay in good relations and even build relationships with your Kiwanis family counterparts. Okay, so at the beginning of your term, it is your duty to select and organize standing committees for your term, and will also be your job to choose and promote a district project, implement the platform you set for the year, and further the strategic 5-year district plan. Along with this, you will collect and create an LTG monthly report, as well as send your own governor report to Key Club International. And with Key Club International, you'll work closely with the international trustee to communicate the desires and needs of the district, as well as represent the Pacific Northwest District on the International Council. Okay. Now, on towards the next point, you'll attend a multitude of events right when your term starts throughout the summer, during the school year, and even after your term, which will all consume a lot of time, like all these positions will. With this, it includes official visits where you visit different areas of the Pacific Northwest District to assist clubs and train officers. And lastly, as district governor, you're going to be pushing the district to its fullest potential. There's no certain skill set that is required for this position, but please keep in mind you have the weight of the district on your back. And what I've given you are the main points when serving as district governor, which I hope helps you in understanding this role. But please keep in mind that there are many, many other duties that come with this position as well. Okay, so thank you.
Okay, so hi again. My name is Tiffany Wong, and I'm currently serving as your district secretary. So we're just going to go ahead and move on into the secretary duties. So one of the main things as a district secretary is that you are a main communicator to the district. And these duties include that type of communication. So one of them is to record and maintain the official meeting minutes at all required district board meetings, which are then to be published within 15 days of the meeting. So to see what these minutes look like, please go ahead and check out the PWP Club website. There's going to be a tab called Publications where you'll be able to see the meeting minutes that I've published. In addition, you're also the supporter for all the club secretaries. So that means you'll train club secretaries through presentations, through rallies, and at district convention. But you will also serve as a link by reading and responding to monthly secretary reports. So personally, the role as a secretary is really unique in the fact that you get to receive such direct communication from the club level through these reports. In addition, you're also going to develop and publish the district directory, which contains all the contact information of all the club officers in the district, and this should be published by July 15th. And like the rest of your executive officers, you're going to be responsible for creating monthly newsletters, which are distributed within district board. One other aspect is working in collaboration with the Geek Club Alumni Liaison to develop an alumni program. And this is something that we have started this year and will continue to do with the liaison as a district secretary. So Juliet, you can move on to the next slide. Awesome. You will also be serving alongside with the communications committee, and in addition to being responsible for overall formal communication. So this may include regular email communication to club officers or the members, and that's something that I've done by communicating to the club officers through the Google Group email communication. And one other important aspect is not only do you work alongside with the executive officers, you also work closely with the district governor. And in the absence of the district governor, you will be presiding during the events, meetings, or such responsibilities. So that's just a little snapshot of what district secretary entails. And then if you have any more questions, we can go over it afterwards.
Oh, Ryan's mic isn't working right now, so okay, maybe we'll just wait a moment.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
It's really quiet.
Yeah.
Okay, wait, so is it,
Maybe just speak a little louder than usual.
can you hear me? Is that okay? Oh, wait, so it's just really quiet? Or,
Yeah, it's just a little quiet, so can you just speak louder than usual?
yeah, okay, is that like loud enough?
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Okay, okay, yeah, sorry about that. So my position is district treasurer. So as district treasurer, the primary thing that you need to do is you're the manager of finances. So as the manager of finances, you need to make sure that dues collection is done successfully throughout the year. So your goal is collecting 95% of the dues within the Pacific Northwest District. So that totals to about 280 of the clubs. So we have about 300 clubs. So to do that, you need to make sure that you publish resources with the district board in order to advertise dues collection and also maintain close communication with club treasurers to make sure that they are up to date on how to submit dues and when to submit dues. In addition, you're in charge of membership growth, or you at least assist membership growth. So the primary committee on the district board that you'll be working with, one of them is called the Membership Growth and Reactivation Committee. So you work with them to publish resources and to help suspended and inactive clubs become active again. So your goal is to achieve about a 5% membership growth, which is about 500 members every single year. So during your year, you would hopefully total to about 14,000 members as district treasurer. It moves into the next point of assisting the Membership Growth and Reactivation Committee. So the Membership Growth and Reactivation Committee is one of the 5 committees on the district board appointed by the district governor made by the district governor. And the MGRC committee is essentially a committee that works to increase membership and reduce inactive clubs within the Pacific Northwest. So that goes hand in hand with your duty of making sure that dues are paid. Then you also need to make sure that you manage finances for the district board. So in that regard, you collect vouchers from lieutenant governors. So lieutenant governors have a budget that they can spend every year, and you're in charge of managing that budget and making sure that they get reimbursed. And then you're also responsible for training and supporting club treasurers. So what that means is making presentations at rallies, also creating resources like newsletters, presenting Google group updates, and also making social media posts. So then the next slide. And then lastly, you're also responsible for publishing monthly newsletters for the district board to keep the lieutenant governors updated, and then also publishing dues reports so the lieutenant governors know the membership status of each of their clubs, and then finally publishing finance reports so then the lieutenant governors know the financial status of the district and also how much money they have left in their budget.
Okay, so moving on to the editor role. So as editor, your role in the district, like Tiffany, is to communicate information from the district to the club level. And you want to ensure that all of these communications are timely, well-written, free of mistakes, and following the key club graphic standards. These communications will take a variety of forms, the first being our district publication, the Espresso. This year it's being published both online and in print, and articles are written by district board members and club members and curated by the editor. At the beginning of your term, you'll get to set a publishing schedule with the executive committee, so the people on this call, and you get to choose when you publish your 4 issues. So you get to choose your own deadlines, and it's pretty great. Communications also extend to the lieutenant governors, who create monthly divisional newsletters. It's your job to oversee the timeliness and the quality of these newsletters, making sure that they're handed in by the 10th of each month. Oftentimes, you'll provide feedback and recommendations for what kind of content that the lieutenant governor should include so that information is communicated from the district and international level effectively. This might mean making spreads for them, providing them with graphics, tips, telling them what kind of events they should be promoting, and etc. It's also your job to teach the incoming LTGs and bulletin editors how to make newsletters. For editors, you'll attend rallies to present newsletter workshops and provide resources like presentation slides for the rallies that you can't attend. It's important to note that if you do become a district executive, that you'll be encouraged to attend as many summer training rallies as possible, but it's not mandatory that you attend all of them. And for each of us here, we all will present our own training presentations for club officers. You'll also be leading the Bulletin Editors Workshop at DCON. And like the rest of the executive board, you have to do your part to assist the committees. So this year I'm working alongside the communications committee and working on things like the website, social media, graphics, and etc. For myself, I also tend to help out the other committees when they need help making flyers, social media graphics, copy edits for their written material, and etc. So you do get to help out a lot of the committees and not just stick to one. And the best part about being editor in my position, in my opinion, is that you get to pick up and apply a lot of new technical skills during your term. And a lot of the work I do has to do with graphic design and writing, but there isn't a specific skill set that you need to be in order to be editor. Knowing how to use Photoshop and graphic design does help a lot when you're making the espresso, but there's other skills like if you're into videography, that can help a lot if you want to continue the recappuccino and communicate to the district that way. So that's it for my editor role. And now we're going to talk about how do you run for a district office. So to run for a district or international office, the only real requirement is to be a dues paid member. So as long as you pay your dues by December 1st, then you are eligible to run for higher office. So woohoo! Yeah, you don't have to be a club officer. You don't have to be on the district board in order to run for higher office. You can be a member and still run for district governor. And all of the information that we're going to talk about right now is also available in Section B of Call to Convention. So if you want to refer to that later, you can go to www.pnwkeyclub.org/decon and you'll be able to find that there. So starting off with paperwork, there is quite a few forms and flyers that you have to make in order to run for executive board. So you'll want to mail the following forms so that they're postmarked no later than February 1st, 2017. And the mailing address is available in Section B. So the following things are what you want to fill out. The pre-convention orientation meeting registration form, and we'll talk about that meeting later. Your campaign flyer, your candidate information sheet, your medical form, code of conduct, and your service agreement form. So the service agreement form, you can find it in Section B as well, it's just a list of all the duties and expectations that you'll have during your term. So if you want to look at all the formal duties of a district executive position, you can refer to that later as well. And let's talk a bit about the campaign flyer now. So if you've been to DCON before and you attended caucusing, then you've probably seen the candidates booklet. And the candidates booklet is a package that's distributed to all the DCON attendees so that during caucusing, which again we'll talk about later, they're able to look at all of the candidates' qualifications, ideas, and platforms. So here are some samples. The one on the left is mine, and the one on the right is Tiffany's. And these are the flyers that we use to present ourselves essentially to the district. And there's no format that you need to follow when you're making these flyers. You can make them as simple or as extravagant as you want. And the next thing that you'll need to submit is your candidate information sheet. So again, for this, there isn't any specific format that you need to follow, but the difference between the candidate information sheet and the campaign flyer, the candidate information sheet is more so, I guess, your qualifications, and your campaign flyer is more so about the ideas and goals that you have. So questions that you might answer on your candidate information sheet are like past leadership experiences, past offices held, K-family attendance, why you want to run for this office, how did you get started in Key Club, and etc. And if you refer to Section B, there's a list of questions that you can answer on your candidate information sheet, but again, the content that you put on these flyers and information sheets and the format are all up to you. And so moving on from that, and also if you look at the Section B, you are required to save those as a PDF, and they'll be printed in black and white, so don't worry about color and all that. And moving on to that, so I mentioned that you have to fill out pre-convention orientation meeting registration form. And the pre-convention orientation meeting is an opportunity for you to ask us, the district executives, and the administrative team questions about the office that you're seeking to undertake, and also to learn more about the election procedure at district convention. And this is a mandatory meeting if you are seeking district executive office. So where is this meeting? It will be at the Doubletree by Hilton, Portland. So it is in downtown Portland. It's on February 18th, 2017 from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. And why we have this meeting, cover in depth what is required from each executive board position, what is expected from an international officer, and cover the election process at convention. So we'll be talking a lot about caucusing, tips for caucusing, House of Delegates, etc. Also campaign rules. And to give you, your parents, and advisors the opportunity to ask the current district executive board and administrative team questions. So as mentioned there, you will be required to have your parents and one faculty or Quantus advisor with you at the meeting. So that's something that you want to start thinking about early and making sure that you schedule time for. And only candidates who have submitted the proper paperwork are invited to attend. So after you submit your paperwork and it's received by your district administrator, you'll receive an email with more information about this meeting. And moving on. The next thing is the candidates orientation meeting. So the name is really similar to the pre-convention orientation meeting, but this one actually happens at DCON. So this is just a really quick meeting that happens on Friday afternoon, I believe. 4 to 5 p.m. And the exact location will be disclosed at our pre-convention orientation meeting, but it's always somewhere in the convention center. And this is just so that you can receive your caucusing schedule and to receive any final instructions. So things like last-minute rehearsals that you might have to attend, procedures, etc. And if you're not present at this meeting, despite having submitted all your proper paperwork and etc., then you will be disqualified. And now the fun part, caucusing. So if you've attended decon, then you have seen caucusing before. And basically what caucusing is that it's an opportunity for you to present your ideas, your qualifications, and just yourself to all of the attendees at decon. And as it says there, you'll have to give a 3-minute speech, answer a 1-minute standard moderator question, and there will be a 3-minute question and answer period with the caucus room attendees as well. So how caucusing works is all the decon attendees will be split into about 10 different rooms based on division. And you'll have the opportunity to go to each room over the course of about an hour so that you'll be able to deliver your speech multiple times. So yes, that means that you have to give the same speech around 10 different times. For the standard moderator question, each of our offices have a different question that you'll have to answer in each caucus room. So for example, for the editor position, my question was, what do you think is important about the image of the Pacific Northwest District, and how do you plan to maintain or create that image? And similarly, for the other offices, they'll have a question like that. And the questions can all be found in Section B of Call to Convention 2, so you can prepare for that beforehand. Caucusing might be a little bit scary if you aren't so confident about your public speaking, but it's definitely a good experience and a good way to develop your public speaking skills as well. Sorry. Yeah. So next is another set of speeches at House of Delegates. So House of Delegates is it's a session where all of the voting delegates at decon will listen to you present your platform one more time. So at the House of Delegates session, like I mentioned, it's only the voting delegates, so it'll be 2 delegates from each club. So you'll be presenting your speech only one time. It'll be a 2-minute speech. It'll be a 2-minute speech, and it'll be to about, this sounds scary, but 300 people. And voting will occur within the same hour at House of Delegates as well. And the difference between the caucusing and House of Delegates speeches, the House of Delegates speech tends to be a bit more formal. You're just wrapping up everything that you said the night before and just representing your ideas. Okay, so moving on, we'll talk about campaign rules. So there is a $0 campaign policy for all candidates. So basically what this means is you are not allowed to campaign. The only material that will be distributed to decon attendees showing your platform and your candidacy will be the candidates booklet, which will include all of your campaign flyers and information sheets. So basically the information sheet and the candidate and the information sheet and the campaign flyer are the only things that you can present to other people. So that means no buttons, no posters, no banners, things like that. That also means that you aren't allowed to announce your candidacy prior to district convention. The candidates booklet will be distributed at district convention, meaning that people will only find out that you're running for office once they get there. And if you are caught posting about your candidacy or promoting yourself prior to convention, then you will be disqualified. As well, all candidates are prohibited from utilizing any current district board members in their campaign staff. So that just means that your lieutenant governor can't endorse you at a DCM, bake cookies with your name on it, things like that. And that's it for the process for running for district executive board. And if you have any questions later, which you might, you can ask during the question and answer period.
Okay, so now for some information on the international board. What do they do? So for the international board, it consists of the president, vice president, and 11 international trustees. They are elected at ICON to make decisions in the best interests of Key Club and assist the districts. So for the role of international president, some of the duties include supervising the work and activities of Key Club International with the international director, presiding over all meetings of the international board and international council, similar to how the governor presides over all the district board meetings. In addition to that, presiding over the international convention at the end of their term. So for the international term, the officers, their service year is a little bit different. It starts and ends at the international convention, which is around early July. And lastly, they are the official representative of Key Club International with Kiwanis Family Leadership and external agencies. So for the role of international vice president, they will perform the duties of the international president in the event the president is unable to do so. Along with this, they chair at least one international committee, but they support all other committee chairmen. Along with this, they represent Key Club at events as deemed necessary by the international president and board of trustees, and they assist districts in development or with no trustee. So this year, they Mary Grace Lewis actually is helping out with the Western Canada district. So for international trustees, for duties, this includes serving as liaison to at least 2 assigned districts. They provide communication between the elected district leaders and an international. And for the Pacific Northwest District, we have Nicole, Montana this year as an example. And this includes international updates, phone calls, or even video conferences. So whatever's formed in the binding contract between the governor and the international trustee. Along with this, they attend one board meeting and convention of each district assigned. So they also work alongside international board by serving on an international committee, defining the administrative policies of Key Club, and interpreting the scope and meaning of the bylaws. Okay. So Audrey, how do I run for an international office?
So I can speak a little bit about this one. Yeah. So the first step is to seek endorsement. So what does it mean to be endorsed by the district? That means the district is supporting your candidacy for international office, and then you can use that to your advantage when you campaign at international convention. So there will be 2 candidates for the position of international trustee that can be endorsed, 1 candidate for the international vice president and 1 candidate for the president. And you can be endorsed with the same steps as you were to run for a district executive office. So you would do the same mailing the paperwork. You should be attending the pre-convention orientation meeting. You should attend the candidates orientation meeting at DCON. You would caucus the same way at DCON, deliver a formal address at the House of Delegates session, and essentially your role in seeking endorsement during the district would be the same, except for the fact that you would be looking into an international position. And we can move on to the next slide. Awesome. So after district convention, if you are endorsed by district convention attendees, then you would then speak with your international trustee. So your international trustee would provide you with more information about the role that you're seeking to undertake, and they would also provide and ensure that you receive the necessary paperwork from international upon being endorsed. Campaigning. So campaigning in terms of the district-wide one during DCON would have the same rules. So when you run and get endorsed during district convention, you would not be able to campaign in terms of social media or announce your candidacy, but after getting endorsed, then you would then mail your campaign flyer and candidate information sheet for the candidate's booklet of international convention. And these can be different from the ones that you use to seek endorsement at district convention. So once after you see the Key Club International website post this icon candidate booklet, then you're allowed to campaign on social media. So that's where it's different. After having that candidate booklet online, then you can create your website, you can have social media graphics, you can even have videos to promote your candidacy and present your ideas, which will then be voted on during international convention. All right, so now we're going to move on into caucusing at ICON. So like district convention, you're going to have to present your goals and qualifications to the ICON attendees. You'll also have a 3-minute speech and a 3-minute question and answer period. And at the end of caucusing, all the ICON attendees will vote by ballot to narrow the number of candidates for international office. After caucusing, then international candidates will then move on into something called the nominating conference. So the nominating conference is where candidates for international office are narrowed down based on the votes which were placed after caucusing. There might be a big pool of candidates, let's say 20 candidates for international trustee, but nominating conference would then narrow it down to a smaller pool. And in addition, if you're running for international president or vice president, you would be able to seek out dual nomination. So what dual nomination is the final 2 international president and or the final 2 international vice president candidates who make it through this nominating conference. They can then be awarded dual nomination by the nominating delegates. So if a candidate with this dual nomination does in fact lose the international president or vice president election, then their name would be pulled into the trustee ballot. So then they would have an opportunity to be elected as international trustee instead. House of Delegates. So for candidates of international president and vice president, after this nominating conference, then you go into House of Delegates actually for all the candidates, and that is where you're gonna speak again to in a big ballroom to all the ICON attendees. And for candidates of international president and vice president, you would have the 90-second speech and 2 moderator questions. For candidates of international trustee, you would have 1-minute speech and 1 moderator question. And voting will occur by ballot during the House of Delegates session. All right, Brian, so you can go ahead and take this on.
Yeah, so we've definitely told you guys quite a lot of information, and I think especially if you're trying to run for an executive board position or a board position on the district board or the international board for the first time, it can be sort of a daunting task. But we definitely want to tell you that you can make like you can make your like strive to be a district board officer or an international board officer reality. So I think when all of us were running, especially like when we were just joining Key Club, we never really dreamed that we would be here today. And I think that definitely speaks to the fact that you can grow a lot, even if it's over a few years, you can definitely grow a lot in just like a few months. So Audrey mentioned earlier that it takes a little bit of public speaking to like deliver 10 caucus speeches, but it's nothing that you can't practice. So yeah, I remember Audrey, you've always like said the story that like I think it was like a few months before decon, that was when like you decided that you would actually want to run. So it's you can definitely like make the change to like practice public speaking. It shouldn't be something that like holds you back. And then also it's all a really significant opportunity, like being a representative of the entire Pacific Northwest or the entirety of Pacific or of Key Club International. It's a really significant job and will like change you significantly for the better. So it's an opportunity that you definitely don't want to let go by. And then if you're running for a Pacific Northwest executive board position, like our district is like one of the nicest districts you'll probably meet. Like our caucusing is is I would call it like really friendly. Like the people are there to like help you get better. So even though they'll be asking you questions, they honestly like want to get to know you. So don't be like intimidated by the experience. It's like a really positive experience. So you'll really enjoy it. So we highly encourage you guys to like keep going because you could be the next face of the Pacific Northwest or keep up international.
So yeah, once again, you can do it. And now I'll be opening this next period to questions. So as you can see on the top of the slide I'm sharing, it says ask a question at goo.gl and that continued link. So feel free to ask questions now and don't be shy. Or you could directly chat into this to the GoToMeeting chat to organizers only so you stay anonymous. So either way would work. Going to the link
And if you want to
or
stay
chatting in this.
Mm-hmm. And if you want to stay anonymous on the Google Slides question and answer, you can check off the Ask Anonymously box too.
So make sure if you are using the chat in GoToMeeting, you send to organizers.
And then Juliet, based off the questions that you get, you'll be like telling everyone what the question is.
Yes. Okay, so it looks like a question has just popped up. Any tips on writing a speech for caucusing? That's our first question, guys.
I think my tip is be personable. You want to present your best self, but don't be afraid. Ooh, sorry, no, more questions. Yeah, make sure be personable because you want to present yourself in the best light possible, but you also want to give the caucusing, the decon attendees, the best representation of who you are as a person so that they understand all the qualities that make you a strong leader. And yeah, just try to be personable.
And make sure to talk about your platform as well so people know what your ideas are besides what's written on the paper. Okay, so second
Yeah.
question. Oh, Tiff, yes?
Oh, sorry about it. But yeah, those are really good tips that Audrey and Juliet mentioned. And so definitely lots of practicing. You're gonna have to like start practicing and just make sure that you know your stuff. But as you practice, just make sure that you're not just reciting it over and over again, especially as time goes on, and then you're just like saying and what you memorize, but remember that what you say is what you mean. So really go into every speech thinking and practicing that you mean it and that you're saying it because you care about it. So just having that like understanding will really boost your public speaking in a way because you're able to show that passion.
Mm-hmm. On that note, when you write your speech, make sure that, or just like anytime leading up to decon and preparing yourself, just make sure you really understand why you want to run for higher office personally, because that'll really motivate you not only throughout your term, but at decon in those really scary moments. Just keep in mind why you're doing this, like why you put yourself through public speaking, even though you might not like it. Yeah.
Yeah, just to add on slightly to that, I think what Audrey pointed out is like really important. Like when I was going into caucusing, I had like some set values that would help me answer like questions. So if key clubbers would ask me like, why do you want this on your platform, or why did you run for this position, or like a lot of questions. If you just like go to your values, then it can like give you the answer to those questions based on what you believe. So it's a good way to also help with questions as well.
Yeah, and make sure that you practice your speech and get other people to edit your speech as well, because my speech went through like many rounds of editing, and make sure that you get people to edit it who you know can be honest with you and who you know can tell you if something isn't appropriate or something doesn't sound right or something isn't clear. Okay.
Yeah, so thank you
Uh,
for asking that. Just a clarification on this one question, who exactly do I need to go to the pre-convention meeting? February 18th again. Do you mean who you need to attend with? I'll just wait on that response. And for where we will post the slides presented today. So currently I'm recording this webinar and it should be posted once we upload it to YouTube on our YouTube account, PNW Key Club. And the slides can be posted as well.
The slides will probably be posted in the description of the YouTube link.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so another question.
Sorry.
Oh, yes, Audrey?
Really quick question. So will it be required for the District Executive Board to attend ICON 2017? No, it is not. You're encouraged to, but you don't have to.
Okay, so yes, clarification on the earlier question, who you need to attend with for the pre-convention meeting. So what's required is your advisor and your parents. Your parents are required to attend, not so much your advisor, but it's suggested, encouraged. Oh, both?
I believe it's both. Let me take a quick
Yeah.
check on that.
Brian, did your
Yeah, it was like Kiwanis. Yeah, it was like all of them parents.
Yeah, so
yeah, it was like all the ones you mentioned.
Faculty advisor and parent.
Yeah, it's either your faculty or Kiwanis advisor and your parents.
Yeah. But your parents are required and or faculty advisor, Kiwanis advisor.
And for myself, my Kiwanis advisor couldn't come out, so my area administrator came out.
Mm-hmm. So you had to have that Kiwanian filled. Okay, so another question then. How do you balance AP classes while maintaining a district board executive position?
Question. Yeah, at least for at least for me, if you're able to like depending on what other activities you do, there's certainly times where you would have like conflicts between like other activities or school classes and then some key club events. But I think if you like before you run for the position, you make sure like you plan out ahead of time, like maybe how key club would pan out in relation to like how many classes you might be taking this year or next year. If you plan ahead, then you might be able to like see what sorts of things you need to do, and then at least for like all of us, we do take like some like advanced courses at our high schools, and sometimes it does take like a little bit of juggling for like time management. But we can at least say that if you do put in the time to like try to split up the day that you have between key club, your other activities, and school, it's definitely possible.
And it's not like every day you're going to be spending like hours and hours on Key Club. There's times when you're going to be super busy. For example, when you're at board meetings the whole weekend, you're focused on Key Club, and so you might not have time to do homework. Other times, it might not be as busy, and you'll be only spending maybe like an hour on Key Club each day. But it really depends on the time of year and also your position. Like all of our duties require a different amount of time. Um, for myself, like when I'm making the espresso, the the days and like the few weeks before the publication date, like I'm super busy. But other times, like right after it's published, I'm not as busy. So it really depends. But yeah, before I ran for this position, or before I was elected to this position, I definitely thought that it would be a consistent time commitment, but it's not. It differs.
Yeah, and it depends on your role, on which position you're looking towards. Another question. As a district position, any advice on how you should give advice to club treasurers if you have little to no experience or just your club officers?
I wasn't sure what the question meant. Did you guys understand?
Did you mean if you're a club officer, advice for running for district, or advice that we would give to club officers?
While waiting for that response,
I have another question about the pre-candidates meeting. So did you mean both of my parents have to go to decon with me? No, so the pre-candidates orientation meeting that happens on February 18th in Portland, that's the one that you want your advisors and your parents to attend. at decon, your advisors and your parents don't have to attend. It's just that one meeting. Another question.
With that clarification,
Okay.
how would you train officers if you had no experience?
Oh,
Oh, so say you're running for district treasurer, but you haven't
yes.
served as treasurer, right?
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, at least my answer would be like you. Certainly, if you don't have our previous experience, you would have to learn a little bit more. But it's definitely possible. Like the months leading up to rallies, you could learn all that you would need to know to be like an educated presenter for whatever officer position you have. So if you don't have previous experience, especially while you're getting ready for decon, you should be learning up on whatever position you're running for. So you would gain knowledge that way. And then after decon, if you're elected, you would learn more. So then through those months, you would be able to learn everything you need to know.
Hmm. There's a learning curve for every position, definitely, and you have to be ready to learn. So, like for my position for training bulletin editors, had I not been a bulletin editor before, then I would have had to watch previous training videos. There's videos available online to see the editor training and all their duties. I would have talked with the previous district editors to see how they did their presentations, and remember that you always have a lot of resources available too. So, like if you did become district editor or district treasurer and you hadn't held that club officer position before, then you can always talk to us too, and we can tell you about the position, all the duties they entail. There's lots of online resources, and we're always here too.
Yeah, and do not hesitate at all just to contact us, send us a message whatsoever. We'd love to clarify on our duties, and we'd love to even talk with you one-on-one personally um, with any duties or anything that you have in mind that we'd like to clarify.
Mm-hmm. And if you are elected to the position, then all of us here, the district executive board, we're going to be there to help you transition into your position as well and to learn as much as you can.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Okay, so there was a question. What are some good formats or ways to make your campaign flyer, and what are ways that you guys found successful to get your name out there or to make your speech memorable? So answering the question about the format first, I made mine in Photoshop, PowerPoint, Word, Publisher. Those are all good platforms that you can use to make your flyer. What's important is that it's organized, it's legible. You want to have a picture on there so people can associate you with your platform. Yeah, just the main thing is organization and neatness. And what are some ways that you guys found successful to get your name out there and make your speech memorable? So for myself, I know for the editor position, you definitely want to focus a lot on your campaign flyer because that's the first like tangible material that people are going to see from you, and that's what they're gonna like. That's the kind of quality that they're going to expect from the rest of your term if you're serving in this position. Um, so definitely work on your campaign flyer and your candidate information sheet. Um, how to make your speech memorable. So for my speech, it was a little bit weird. I had like a whole metaphor thing going on where I talked about how the district is like a cup of coffee because, you know, the espresso, the recappuccino, we talk a lot about coffee in the P&W. Um, so that's kind of how I try to make mine memorable. I try to throw in a weird thing in there that will kind of wake people up and something that people can remember me by. So that's something that you can do. In a lot of campaign flyers, people would have like acronyms that they have. So, for example, Tiffany's was like, let's take this step. And then it was like STEP, and everything stood for something, and that's what people could remember her by. So, yeah, just things like that. Find creative ways to present your ideas, things that people can associate with you with.
Yeah, and it really just depends on your style. Like for me, I started with a question and a personal anecdote for me, and it's just something that I'm passionate about and what got me pumped up for each caucus room speech. So it's what clicks with you and what you speak from your heart. So people can see that.
Mhm. And delivery is a big part of it too, and that just comes with practice. You want to make sure that you're well prepared, that um, people know you as someone who practices for these kind of things and spends a lot of time, um, and yeah, just the energy that you bring to your speech.
there was one memorable speech a few years ago that I still remember to this day, and a lot of people remember to this day, which shows how impactful it was. Um, it was by past district editor Jenny Zhang, and so her speech was a metaphor for, yeah, Brian Lee's nodding because he knows it. He knows how to get it. But it was a battery metaphor, and so that theme that year was like level up in service, and so she took that and took her own spin, and she basically had a battery, and she said, like, when I started, when I was younger, like I was like into graphic design or whatnot, so I was 10% leveled up, and then when I got to Key Club, I was like, say, 50% leveled up, and now I'm standing here and I'm 100% leveled up and ready to serve you. And I thought that was a really powerful speech because it really took her personal story into an object, into a battery, and also tied it into the theme so well that, I mean, a lot of people still, whoever attended that decon, still remember it today.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, going off of the point that everyone has a different public speaking style and a different way that they want to present their speech. I remember Tiffany's speech from House of Delegates really well because I remember she had like a very clear speaking style in that she really focused on when she said specific words, which words that she would emphasize. And it was really about how she was a listener and she made sure to emphasize specific words so that she wasn't just speaking really fast and spewing out a lot of words, but really every word kind of sunk in. So content, be creative, find a way to present yourself in a way that people will remember, and just really practice your delivery.
I think there were a few questions that a little bit above that. So there was, will it be okay for LTGs or other people in my division to edit my speech, or is that against the no campaigning policy? I think that's okay because you're just like having your friends look over your speech and giving you edits. Campaigning is like distributing your candidacy to like a large group of people, so you can have your friends edit your speech.
But if you're going to have them edit your speech, make sure that they're not sending that out to other people. So yeah, don't like post your speech publicly because that's kind of announcing your candidacy. Just make sure that you either give them a paper copy, ask them to edit it, or just email them the file.
I remember when you're, in terms of like during that whole process, yeah, you don't share it with other divisions. You are allowed to share it only within your own division, like just them knowing that, like, and saying that you are running, but you're not allowed to share it with other divisions.
Mm-hmm. And make sure that the people that you are giving your speech out to are people that you trust as well, and people that you want for to know that you're running. If other people are campaigning on your behalf, that does count as campaigning for you too.
And then I saw one more question. How often do district officers meet for a meeting? So we meet once every season. So we have a fall, winter, summer, and well, fall, winter, and then a spring, summer meetings. So those are weekend meetings where we get together with all the lieutenant governors. And then the dates for that, we'll be passing those out at the February 18th meeting. And then executive board members also have meetings typically like 2 or 3 weeks before each of the seasonal board meetings. So we have 4 executive board meetings where it's just all 4 of us execs, and then our adult administrators. And then we have our 4 seasonal meetings. So it's about 8 meetings.
Yeah, and along with that, we have our bi-weekly phone calls.
Mm-hmm. What happens if someone asks you a question that you aren't 100% sure of during caucusing? Good question. The best thing to say is that you don't know. Just be honest, don't lie. Even if you don't know something, like for example, let's say you don't know which club was chartered in the PNW first. That's completely okay because that doesn't say anything about your leadership ability or your willingness to learn. What's important is that you're willing to learn, and I mean, if that fact does become useful during your term, then what's important is that you're willing to learn and find out that. Yeah, just be honest, say, I don't know, but it's something that I'm willing to learn and find out, and it doesn't reflect upon your leadership abilities.
And then I saw a question as well. What are some people? What are some things that people talk about during their speech? Is it open ended or is there like a prompt for this speech? So I think we touched on speeches a little bit before. So you can take like our advice about like how to compose a speech and how to make it memorable, and then ask for a prompt. It's open ended. It's just like whatever you want people to remember about like your campaign or who you are. Whatever you want, you can put in your speech. Just make sure it's like appropriate.
Do we need to bring any notes or materials to the pre-convention orientation meeting? No, it's not really necessary. There'll be like notepads there that you can write on. Yeah. Who did you guys go to during your process of running for district or international office? Who should you reach out to for going through the process of running for a position, club advisor, you guys, lieutenant governor, etc.? So it's important to know that when you're running for a district or international office, it's scary, but you're definitely not alone. Even when you're caucusing, you'll have a caucus buddy with you. So a caucus buddy is just a friend, someone from your division, someone outside your division, who'll be sticking alongside you as you go through all your caucus rooms. And they'll just be there to provide you support, tell you which room you're supposed to go to next. Yeah, just a really good source of moral support. And for myself, when I was running for district office, the whole process from thinking about it all the way up to decon, I had like my friends alongside me. It was mostly my club officers who I trusted a lot to edit my speech, listen to me multiple times, and give me honest feedback. It differs for every person, but for me, my club officers were who I found a lot of comfort in.
Yeah, club officers or your family members that you can recite to. And luckily, I was close to my LTG, and the district governor at the time was really helpful as well in answering questions.
And we'd all love to answer all your questions. So I know I got like asked a lot of questions of the past district treasurer when I was running, and so that just really helped clarify like my understanding of what the role really entailed. So I think asking us, asking other feedback in terms of your speech would be for like club officers. But if you have any specific questions about like our position, then you can always ask us.
And if we don't get around to your question this time around, feel free to just message one of us your question or email us, and we can answer it personally.
There was one question. There was one question similar to that. It was, what are some good tips for someone who's just a member but wants to run for district and international office? So similar to what we just said, you have a lot of resources and like members or officers or lieutenant governors of your division that you can talk to for more information. And then you can definitely message us if you want additional information about the positions of a district or international office. So we're definitely here to like help make sure that you have a good basis if you want to run.
Is there a place where I can find example campaign flyers or advice on how to make campaign flyers? So there is a sample campaign flyer in section B of Call to Convention. If you want to see more examples, you can go to the slides after this is posted, and you can look at me and Tiffany's, or we can even send you ours from the past.
So can you change the position you're running for after the initial meeting? No, you cannot, because all your materials will be postmarked after the February deadline for your platform and all.
Also, clarification. So when we say postmarked by February 1st, that means that it doesn't have to arrive at the location at February 1st. It means that it has to be, you have to go to the post office and get it like stamped by February 1st.
Yeah, so typically,
but knowing all you guys, and you guys are all on top of it, you're gonna get it in on time earlier.
Won't do that, right?
That being said, if you do go on February 1st to get it postmarked, make sure that you ask the person at the post office to postmark it for that day.
So it's 8 o'clock. Should we keep going, or should we like?
Yeah, we'll answer one more question.
Okay.
Should we answer about time commitment?
Yes.
Yeah, I think that was the one that. Yeah, that was the one that we didn't touch. So was the question? What did we think about the workload, and was it like more than expected? Was that the one you were looking
at? Sorry, can you repeat that?
Yeah, I think the question was the workload for a district executive more like what was the amount based
Mhm.
on what you expected?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I think we touched on briefly about workload, or yeah, it was like in reference to like if you have a lot of AP classes, how would you balance your time? So when you run for the position, it district executive office definitely does take quite a bit of time. Like Audrey mentioned, there are some times where you have to spend like multiple hours every day, but those are only like concentrated during certain weekends, and then other weekends you might be like spending just like um, 40 minutes doing what you need to do for that day. So um, I think it was like about, at least for me, it was about how much I expected. Uh, yeah, it was, I think like one estimate you could give yourself is like 1 to 2 hours, based on like what position you have. There are certainly days where you might just spend like 30 minutes. There might be days where you spend like an hour and a half. But I think that's like a good estimate, for like how much it might take.
It also depends on how much you want to invest in your position. So, I mean, we have official duties, but we have other duties that we do as well, just like as initiatives that we think would be helpful to other people. Um, so it really depends on how much time you want to dedicate to it. Sorry, I see some questions that I think we can answer pretty quickly. So, is it possible to run for LTG position and district position in the same year? Let's say that you don't get the LTG position, can you still run for district position? Yes, you can. So the LTG elections happen within December and January, I believe. So if you don't make the LTG position, then you still have time to submit all your proper paperwork and register before February 1st. Um, and the other question, does it put me at a disadvantage to have joined late? Please be honest, and what is the likeliness that I get a position if I do apply? So, if you join this webinar late, it's completely fine. This is just to give you more information, and you can also view this webinar afterwards.
I think I
Um,
think that
mhm.
question was like, I think it might have been if I joined Key Club late.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
That's
and
different
then
then.
yeah, in the case that it was about Key Club, like if you join like your sophomore year or like your junior year, it's I would say like it's a small disadvantage, but it's not something that's going to like completely ruin your chances of getting an executive office or lieutenant governor position. So even if you did join late and you think that like you could contribute a lot to like Key Club and you're passionate about it, like by all means go and run, because I think like the members would see that more than the fact that you joined like 1 or 2 years late. So I think it's more about the passion, so you should not let that hold you back.
Mhm. And if this is encouraging at all, the decon at which I ran for district editor was actually my first decon. I wasn't able to attend in previous years, so that's why. But I mean, it didn't affect my chances at getting the position at all.
So as for a quick question, where can we contact each of you individually? So here are our emails, and you can find more information on the pnwkeyclub.org. Yeah.
So those are all the questions that we'll address for today.
Yeah.
Does that
So
sound good?
thank you all for attending our webinar. I wish you all good luck if you choose to pursue this rigorous yet rewarding journey, and I hope to see and meet you all at DCON 2017. So thank you all once again.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.